All right. Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. We are April the 14th, 2025. So if you are watching this around April 14th, 2025, then you know I'm pretty live. So we are getting into a really special analysis today. This one is a fiveplex in Vancouver for $1.3 million. Okay. And the reason why I want to analyze this is because I've got triplexes in Toronto that are worth more than this 1.3. And for a Vancouver property to have 5 units in it and to be only asking 1.3, this is an active listing as of yesterday. It might be gone by now because yeah, it's unheard of to find a 5 unit building in Vancouver for $1.3 million. Okay, so we're going to run through that analysis today. Okay, so let me bring up a couple of things to get us going here. Oh, so I'm Hung Lu. Welcome to Money Matters. And as you can see, I was really excited about getting this listing and being like, what? 1.3? That's insane. 5 units. Okay, so this is Money Matters. I'm your host, Hung Lu. I am with Cash Property. We will analyze that today. And the outcomes of these, of course, you want to check with another investor, your financial advisor, accountant, lawyers. Even though I say that, I take that with a grain of salt because a lot of times those individuals tend to stop you from making some really good decisions potentially to help your family make money. So there's some stuff in that too. Okay, so the outcomes of these sessions is really to give you options and help you make sound decisions about where to put your money so that you can grow your financial nest egg and have the financial freedom that you want. Okay, so let me go into a couple of these items here because we have a few things happening. Okay, so let me start with this one. This one is an event coming up. It is a power speed networking event specifically around real estate. So if you're looking to meet new investors, experienced investors, this is a place for you. Now, of course, this is in Vancouver, so you have to be in Vancouver to participate in this. And the great thing about this is that if you're like me, sometimes we go to these networking events and we end up talking to somebody who we really don't really resonate, but we can't exit that conversation. Like we just don't know how to exit that conversation politely. And so this type of environment allows us to meet every single person that is in that room for about 5 to 10 minutes. And then you go to the next person. There's no trying to get out of a conversation. If if the synergy is not there, that's okay because you don't need to worry about how to explain that and get out of it. Okay. So this is one of those events. And the great thing about this event is that you are going to be able to meet some of the authors that are in this book. So we have some of our local authors who are going to be available that evening. Okay, so you are going to be able to meet myself, um, Mark, Steve, and Tommy. They will be there. They will sign a book if you buy the book there. We're also going to be giving some amazing prizes out, and you'll get to meet 20 to 40 other fellow real estate investors at the same time. Okay, so definitely worth checking out if you are around in the Vancouver area. Okay, so that is one event coming up. Now, also, this is our monthly mastermind week. So on the third Friday of every month, I host a monthly mastermind, of course, real estate related as well. And we will go through a strategy or an educational segment, and then we will actually go through some of the challenges that the people on the call are having. And we actually give advice and ideas and sort of help you through that next hump of your real estate journey. So that is happening this Friday. Okay. So you can get a spot at the mastermind and participate that way. All right. So let's go into the calculation here. Okay, of the fiveplex. Okay, and if you don't know what a fiveplex is, that is okay. It is basically 5 units on a property. So 5 kitchens, 5 bathrooms, 5 or more bedrooms. So this is the listing here. They had an open house this past weekend. 2,300 square feet. Okay, so here's the address. I am not an agent on here, but if you need an agent, I can refer people to you. If you phone up an agent and be like, hey, you know what? I want to put an offer on this property, they would be more than happy to take you on. 1.3 million, like that is so super cheap in Vancouver. Okay, like it's insane. Okay, so now let's walk through some of the numbers on this. I'm not going to go through the photos until the end because, the photos say a lot. Okay. And yeah, the photos were not very impressive, which is, why I didn't go to the property because I'm just like, you know what, this is going to need quite a bit of repairs. Now, so this is 9 bedrooms, 5 bath, 5 kitchens, 5 private entrances. So that to me means that it's a fiveplex. So now you do have to do your own due diligence and double check on that yourself. It might not be a legal conforming fiveplex. Okay, strong holding property with development to build, potential land assembly. Okay, so that is all potentials. Like you don't know that. Okay, so it generates about 8,500 right now per month in rent. And apparently there's a 1 bedroom suite that's available and you could potentially bump that up to 9,700 once you get that rented out. Ideal for investors or multi-generational living. Okay, the taxes is 6,008. That's actually pretty cheap for 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 Vancouver. Okay, it's been on the market 2 days, so you know that they listed this to make it so that they are going to get a lot of bids, right? They've made it super low. Built in 1945, so it's an older building. So you are going to need to do a lot of renovations or potentially look at tear down and reno and building something bigger. Now, that being said, you could tear it down and you might only get another 5 to 6 units on there. Okay. The land size is 3,200 square feet. So this is where talking to a builder would be a great way to figure out what the future use of that is. Now, because the land is so cheap, you may not be able to have the time. You may need to go in there with a cash offer, no conditions. Okay, so now let's run through the Excel sheet because that will tell you whether or not this opportunity is really worth looking at. Okay, so let me make this a little bit bigger and let's run through this. Okay, so I put the address in there. Let's see. Oh, let's see. There's some formatting issues there. So let's see. Oh yeah, it's not, it's wrapping the text. Okay. So asking price is 1.3. I'm going to assume that we're going to be able to get it for 1.3. If you need to increase that to, as part of the bidding process, that is a personal choice as to whether or not you're going to get into a bidding war. Okay. I myself, especially in today's environment where it's a buyer's market, you may not want to do a bidding war. Okay. Now, it is priced really low, so you could say, hey, you know what? The comps in that area might be around 1.5, 1.6. So maybe we can, negotiate a little bit here. Okay, that is a personal choice. The other thing that I would also recommend is that you go and you look for some comps in that area, which is what I also did. Okay. And the 1.3 is definitely on the low end. So it's very strategically priced to get that bidding war going. That area maybe 1.8 to 2.2, okay, depending on how nice the building is. Okay, so we have 9 units. Okay, so I'm going to change that to 5. It's actually just pulling this information from here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that to 5 units. Okay, so this is 5 units, not the number of beds. So in total, I've got 5 units. That tells me for each of the cost of this is roughly with renovations in, because I'm estimating about 200,000 in renovations. This is, I would say, on the low end. This is me like just licking the air going, okay, what would be an amount that I need to put aside to be able to cover renovations? Building. And if you look at the photos, you'll see what I mean. Like it is one of those accidental landlords that are doing their own repairs. Okay. Like this is not a nice, you know, good, clean place. Okay. So each unit is going to be about $300,000, which is so super cheap in Vancouver. Okay. So that's why I'm saying, like, it might be worth it for you to buy something, put in the renos, pay a little bit more in the bidding price, because you can potentially go up, by 50,000 to 100,000 a unit and still potentially be okay. So the total rents that they're right now seeing is 8.5, potentially going up to 9.7. So the average rents here, let me see how I calculated this. So I divided it by the units. Yep. So the units right now are going for about 1,600 a unit. Okay, one bedrooms to two to three bedrooms. How does that price in? Well, it depends on the size of the units that you're talking about, right? The two-bedroom units are usually between 15, did like 2,000. So this is actually a little bit on the low end for two, like, yeah, for a two-bedroom, I would say this is on the low end. If you were to rent out all the units, let's see how this got divided here. Okay. Oh, so I'm dividing it by, yeah. So each unit is about $2,000. Now, the one bedroom though, $2,000 for one of the rundown units, that might be asking a little bit too much. Okay. So total rents here, you're looking at just over $100,000 for the year, potentially going up to 117,000 for the year. Okay. So, that's not a bad income for five potential units. Okay. So now I do have to say this again. This may not be five legal conforming units. So as a buyer, you need to double check that. And also because when you go to tear down and rebuild, you may not be able to get five units on there. Okay, just to let you know, definitely need to go talk to a builder and a designer on that. Okay, so I've got the taxes in here because that's what was listed on the listing at 6,830. I bumped up the insurance to 4,000 because I'm not exactly sure how much the insurance would be on a property like this. What I'm used to is around 4,000, so that's why I put that. I put $100 for heat, $100 for electricity. I'm assuming that it's no separate meters. That would actually be a good thing to find out. Okay, so separate meters. Okay. If it has separate meters, the 100 each would probably go down because you could charge that to the tenant, except that the gas, you may not be able to charge that back because it would be gas for the whole house. Okay, so I've got 200 there just as a temporary number just to see if this would even cash flow. Okay, we've got taxes, insurance, property management. I'm putting 5% down. Usually I would have 10% there because even if I'm going to self-manage, even if I'm in the same town as the property, I still want to account for property management because ideally I would like to offload that. Repairs is 3. Usually I have 5% there. Vacancy is 4%. So my video last week was on vacancy. So if you think this 4% is low, go and check that last video out. Okay, so I'm going to leave it at 4%. I've got internet here at $100. So the idea here is I'm going to buy the internet provided for the whole house and then potentially charge everybody, like 30, $40 for internet. Okay. And then the other is 5%. So this is going to be for pest control. You need pest control in a house like this. Snow removal, even though there's not that much snow in Vancouver, accountings, legals, bookkeeping. Okay, any sort of small fixer-upper things would go under repair, but any of those unseen upkeep things would go under the other. Okay, so there's some money in there for that. So my total expenses is around 37% expense ratio. That's reasonable for an older building. I would say maybe even on the low end. Okay, so like maybe another 3%, 4% would be okay to add on to there. So my total expenses annually would be 37,000. Okay, and so that means if I was to get a mortgage, so let's see here. Okay, so my NOI. Okay, so it's the income minus my expenses. So my NOI per month is roughly about $5,300. So it's not bad. Okay, so let's go into what that would mean if I got a mortgage on there. Okay, so 20% down because it's an investment property. So 20, 25% maybe. Okay, if you live there, okay, and it's your first home, first investment, you might be able to get a portion of that for 5%. But That's a little bit tricky to navigate because there's 5 units. The lenders are going to argue there's no way this is your primary. And even if it was, we'll give you 5% on a certain percentage, but then the rest of that would be considered an investment property. So let's just run the numbers at 20%. Okay. So you've got 20% down, 260,000. So reasonable for a down payment in Vancouver. Okay. Especially if it's going to get you an investment property. Like this hands down is one of those things where if it's cash flowing, if you can make a cash flow, if you can build something and increase significantly the value, 260 is absolutely totally worth it. Okay, so the balance that you're going to get on a mortgage is just your purchase price minus your down payment of 260. So you're going to need a mortgage of just over $1 million. Okay, so that's totally fine. Okay. Like the mortgage is the mortgage. Okay. So the interest rate here, I've put down 5%. You could potentially get a little bit less than that. Could you get CMHC mortgage under, the MLI? Yeah, probably. It's a fiveplex. The thing is, though, they would want it to be, it would have to meet their criterias about the rent, which in this case, I would say, yeah, you're probably on the lower end of the rent scale. But then they would also probably want to make sure that it's 5 legal units, which I'm not sure this building is. Okay, so then the monthly payment on this is 5,582 minus your current revenue. Okay, you are negative cash flowing by about $258. Now, keep in mind, that's because we have one vacant unit. Okay. If that unit does get rented out and we see a higher projected income coming in, we would be cash flowing $800, $866, which is pretty cool. So you're basically making, 150, 120 a unit for 5 units, right? That is so amazing. So the challenge here is, do you have the 260? How much, you know, how much effort is it going to be for you to rent out this last unit? Okay. Because what they're talking about here, how much was the difference in this last unit here? Did I put that in here? Oh, I didn't calculate it. Okay, so the difference between these two numbers here, I'm just going to put that right over here. Okay, is roughly, whoop, got the wrong number in there. So I'm going to take my higher number, which is what they're forecasting, minus the current rents. So they're renting out that one bedroom for 1,250. That is really cheap. Okay, so I would say these 5 units fall below the what do you call it? The average rental amount, but these units are not very nice. Like if you look at the photos, okay, not nice at all. Okay, so expect to do a lot of maintenance work on these ones. Okay, so we have repairs in here at 5. Are you going to be spending $423 a month on repairs? Probably not. Okay, but keep in mind that we don't have a lot of reserves in here, right? So this is part of that reserves, like you're going to be sitting on this money. And yes, I know that I put 200 here. This 200, because when you take it over, you're going to need to fix things. Okay, the inspectors or the insurance company is going to come back and say, well, your insurance is on condition of XYZ. Okay, so that is what we have in terms of this. So now I'm going to show you the photos now here too. So now let me go into, um, let's see here. Did we cover all of the events coming up? So we've got the mastermind, we've got the speed event thing coming up. So that's perfect. And we've got the speed thing there. Okay. So it looks like we did cover all of the sponsorship events that are happening. So let's go into the realtor here. And that way you can see the photos here because what was the address here? 49, I think it was this one. Oh, and I don't, oh, here we go. It did pop up. Okay. So here is the photos here because I tend to look at the photos after at the end just to get an idea of the sense of things. And so you can see here, like it doesn't look like a fiveplex. Like, it looks like a single family home. Okay. So let's go into some of the pictures here so that you can see. Okay, and I'm hoping that you're seeing what I'm seeing here. Yeah. So here is the first kitchen. Okay, and you could see the level of dirt that is built up like on the stove in between there. Okay, there's two fridges. There's yeah, and you could see like the glut there. The cupboard doors are not aligned. Yeah, it's not pretty. Okay. And you could see like the level of dirt there. Like obviously they have not done a deep clean in a long time. There's a lot of luggages there. Okay, whatever. Okay. Oh, and no dining table. Okay, like basically you come in, you make your meals and you go back to your room. Mm. Okay, so no dining table area here. So now I'm assuming this is another area here with a bedroom. Okay. So this I would say is the living room that has been converted into a bedroom. And it looks like there's some camping stuff going on there, which is questionable. Okay. So another angle there. Okay, so that's fine. So one of the bedrooms here. So now look over here on this side here on on the flooring. You could see it's like a step down. So, you know, yeah, it, it's not pretty, right? Okay. And then here's one of the bedrooms there with their desk. Okay, so study area. Okay, so here's another room here. So small windows. Um, yeah, not sure. Yeah, so another bedroom. Okay, so okay, so this was that room before, I guess now that it's empty. Okay, so the interesting thing here to see here is this side here. So we've got tiles and something on this side, and then we've got tiles and a different structure over here on this side. Okay, so another bedroom. Not sure what this is because there's the light there, maybe the fire alarm, okay, is there. Doesn't look like a fire alarm though. Okay, so, something to consider there. Okay, okay, so this is from that other room there. So this is the bathroom leading to there. Here's the doorway there. So you're coming in to have your own room. You go to the bathroom there, and then the kitchen on the other side. Okay, another bedroom. Okay, another kitchen. Now, the interesting thing when I looked at this, I couldn't quite make this out because it looked like there's a ledge here, and then you sort of step down to there. So I couldn't quite make it out, but this is some sort of a kitchen here because there's the element there, the sink is there, a little bit of the cupboards. So you're probably going to need to be a short individual to live in this unit particularly. Okay. Oh, maybe that's just this. Yeah, I couldn't quite make it out because you see this ledge here, or it could just, yeah, I can't make it out. So this is another kitchen here, and you could see it's not pretty. Like it needs another coat of silicone. The cupboards aren't like matching up. Look at the light fixture. There's a huge layer of dirt on the tiles. Yeah. So so this is the other bathroom here. So the old green tiles, mold, dirt, whatever you want to call that. Um, the splash, the splash guard on the back here. Okay, so very yeah, so I would say this has been maintained by the owners. Okay, so older windows, the piping sticking out, not a big kitchen here. Okay. So one of the empty bedrooms, the electrical, questionable. It's exposed conduits. Okay, baseboards. Okay, um, some sort of wiring or something over here. I can't make that out. So another bathroom. Okay, with the laundry. So this one might be the only one with laundry in it because I don't see laundry elsewhere unless it's shared laundry. Another bathroom. Okay, so not pretty. Okay. So just keep in mind that you're going to need to do some renovations on this bathroom here. and this like all of these units here. Okay, so this one is a sliding stand-up shower. Okay, and that is all the photos there. Okay, so we are just at the half-hour mark. So as you can see, so let me bring up the Excel sheet here and let's just run through here. So, 1.3 million for a 5-unit building in Vancouver, amazing opportunity. Hands down, definitely worth running, definitely worth looking at to see, can you make this work for you? Based on the current numbers, you would be negative cash flowing a little bit, okay? But once you get that unit rented out, you'd be cash flowing quite a bit. This is assuming a 20% down at 5% interest rate. So, all right. So I am Hung Lu. I am your host with Cash Property. Thank you so very much for tuning in and watching. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Oh, this way. Okay. Okay, here's my website. Okay, and also my breakthrough analysis paralysis coaching session. You can definitely learn how to do what I just did in like under 5 minutes. Okay, thanks everybody. Have a super awesome week. Bye.